Thank you for joining me today because I really wanted to discuss with you, what I've been seeing in my class. I found out that students have a very hard time determining what's important in a text if they're reading a nonfiction text. Have you seen that in your classrooms?
Yeah, I've seen that all the time.
And I think we concentrate so much on fiction, they don't know how to read a nonfiction text anymore.
Yeah, I see that all the time, and it's often an ignored genre in the classrooms.
I totally, absolutely agree. I think because we concentrate so much on content, we want them to learn about marine animals. We want them to learn about, historical figures and things like that. We often forget to talk about, features of texts, and I think that's important. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's equally important to teach the content and the features of the text to determine what's actually really important.
I love that you brought that up because, the kids were highlighting their whole entire textbook, and I was like, what's going on, guys? You need to really realize that there are some things that are important and other things that are not. And I think we could, help them decide what's important if we actually teach them what the features of the nonfiction text are. Because we know that in fiction text we have, characters, we have the plot, we have the settings, the storyline, all these things. And for me, honestly, most of the kids, their projects were about, these book reports and things like that that ask them to find these features of fiction text. But we haven't really discussed the features of nonfiction text. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's a lot, such as fonts and effects, single words and phrases,
Yeah.
graphics and photographs.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, graphics and photographs. Often the kids, they just skip over the pictures and the graphs. And I'm like, that's actually really valuable information. If the author decided to put a picture there, then he obviously thought that it needed extra emphasis. And those captions, they're very short and concise, and they can give you a lot of valuable information. And these graphs, if you learn to read them, they also relay very valuable information, and these are probably very important in a text.
Yeah, and there's also text organizers.
So, text organized, like knowing what a glossary is, knowing what the index is, even knowing what the table of content is, it can actually help you find out, what is important. Well, if the author put these headings, then these are probably really important. If the word is in the index, then it must be a topic that, I need to pay attention to. I actually had a girl who was reading this nonfiction text, and she didn't understand a couple of the words. And I was like, well, that's expected because it's a new text. And she went to go to the dictionary. I was like, why don't you check the glossary? And I think kids need to know how to use glossaries and table of context and things like that.
Yeah, and not only text organizers, you also have text structures.
Yeah, you bring up a great point because with fiction stories, it's just like a storyline. One thing happens, which leads to another, which is the plot, then the characters, and all these things. But with nonfiction text, I think we need to be conscious that they have a different structure, that they're cause and effect text, comparison text. Maybe they're chronologically ordered text, and all these are text structures. So I've been thinking maybe we should do a project that really teaches kids, not content this time, but teaches them the features of this nonfiction text. What do you think? Do you think that would be helpful for the kids?
I think it would be very beneficial for them.
Yeah. So I was thinking, and I think we can do two different things. Maybe just ask them to research something they genuinely love and help, foster that love for learning that sometimes is lost when we have to do all that standardized testing. So maybe just foster that love for learning by having them do a project on something that they just really like. Or, since we want them to just learn the actual features and we don't really care about what the actual content is, I was thinking maybe we could do something, they could do something about themselves. What do you think?
I think that would be good for both yours and my students.
Yeah. And I was thinking it'd be something like an autobiography, and we could tell them, you need to put real photographs because this is a nonfiction text. It's a real text about things that happen in real life. So you should put photographs. Maybe you could put your growth charts, and what's really important to let them know and make this the focus of the project is to tell them what do you want your reader which would be like me, you, and like I guess their classmates. We can do like a joint project where like both classes combine to share their information. And I think we should have them, before they actually submit their final project, really think about, what do I want my reader to learn? So if I was doing mine, maybe I'd want my reader to learn that I really enjoy swimming. So I know you're a swimmer too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe I'll add something like, oh, when I was first born, I went to swimming classes with my dad. Like swimming with daddy. It was a program at my YMCA. So I'd add that, and then after that, I'd be like, oh, and then I joined like the Little Guppies team. Then I joined the juniors team when I went to college. I continued swimming and things like that. And yeah, I'm talking about myself. And I have all of these causes, and the effect was that I loved swimming and I became a great swimmer. So I think that really helps us understand, these features of the nonfiction text that we often miss and forget.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm glad that we were able to
problem.
discuss this and really come up with an action plan for our students.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.